Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So today we're going to talk about the Toyota 4Runner and specifically the 5th generation 4Runner. You guys know I have one right here. So I have a little bit of a bias as I talk through this, but I'm pretty confident that the values of them are going to remain extremely high or even go up quite a bit here moving into the next year or two for a number of reasons. So for starters, I don't believe there's going to be a 2024 model year of the 5th generation. This is news to myself and a lot of us because we thought for sure there was going to be one more year of the 5th generation. Rather, I think they're going to either A, hold off for a year before they introduce the new 6th generation 4Runner. They're going to give it a year break. I've seen manufacturers do that before. Or they could very well... okay. Or we could very well... see them introduce the 6th generation later in 2024. We have not seen any official news on that from Toyota. However, we have just seen the unveiling of the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser. So Toyota's pretty quick and they're pretty good at kind of keeping it kind of under wraps until last second. And they kind of did that with the Land Cruiser. We didn't realize that was going to be a 2024 model year until they really unveiled it. So that was cool. So they could very well do that with the 6th generation 4Runner. They could say, oh, here it is, and you could expect to see it in spring of 2024, and it'd be a 24 model year. But as of right now, we have yet to see the 5th generation as a 24 model year, if that makes sense. So normally by now, we have seen leaked photos of it landing in Hawaii or landing somewhere. We start seeing the teaser images, and I would have expected to have seen one in that new Terra color by now, but we just haven't seen it. And more importantly, when you go on Toyota's website, they do not have the 2024 model year as a build option on their site. Whereas if you look at any other vehicle that's continuing over from the previous year, like the Tundra, you can see a 2024 Tundra. You can kind of build out the 2024 models. So again, it kind of leads me to believe that the 4Runner, the fifth generation 4Runner, will be concluding after this 2023 model year. So why is it going to affect the value? Why is the value going to skyrocket, quote unquote? For a number of reasons. What did we see with the Tundra? When we got rid of the V8 Tundra, the 2021 model year, the last model year of that V8 Tundra, what did we see? We saw people clamoring to get one of them afterward. It's kind of like the forbidden fruit mantra. I mean, Americans, we are guilty of this more than any other country, I would argue. The whole forbidden fruit. We really want what we can't have. And once they got rid of that V8 and went to the iForce Max twin turbo hybrid setup in the 2022 model year Tundra, everybody wanted to try to get back into that V8. They wanted to try to get what they couldn't have anymore because we missed it. We missed the core simplicity of it. Super simplistic, super reliable, tried and true, battle tested. So people wanted to get back into that. And I think we're going to see that similar thing with the 4-liter V6 that we find in the, let me kind of give you that in the background, with the 4-liter V6 that we find in, sorry, it's super windy, in the 4Runner here, right? Tried and true. And I think this truly is the last vehicle that truly epitomizes Toyota's mantra through the years. Epitomizes why we all love Toyota, and that is simplicity at its core, reliability, and ultra durability, which I think a lot of us lose confidence in the new iForce Max, right? We lose confidence when we strap a battery pack and turbos to an engine when it comes to longevity. Although Toyota does it better than anybody, I'll say, we still don't have that great peace of mind that we've always been afforded with these previous generation models like that Tundra, like the FJ Cruiser, like the 4Runner. And speaking of the FJ Cruiser, what happened with that when we got rid of it? What happened when we got rid of that 2014, the last Toyota FJ Cruiser, especially the Trail Teams Ultimate Edition? If you can get the exclusive version of it, you were sitting pretty when it came to resale. Heck, if you bought a brand new 2014 Toyota FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Ultimate Edition back in 2014, you paid about $41,000 for it, right? You paid that much for it, maybe 42. And then if you drove it for the last 9 years, how long has it been? That's public math. Yeah, 9 years since then, you were sitting pretty, right? You could have easily sold it for exactly what you paid for it, assuming you didn't put 150,000 miles on it. But if you put anywhere 100,000 or less miles on it, you could probably sell it for $42,000, and that is pretty remarkable. And I think we're going to see a very similar thing with the 4Runner here, right? So the 4Runner, if it is the last of the 5th generation, the last of that 4-liter V6, 5-speed automatic transmission, and I think it's important to note that that is the same exact power plant that we found in that FJ Cruiser. So a little bit of a coincidence? I don't know. I mean, Toyota's phasing out this old archaic brutish engine setup, and for emission standards primarily, right? But it works. It absolutely works. And if you've driven a 4Runner, a 5th generation 4Runner, you know it works, and you know they're super reliable. Not to mention, I think the power delivery in the 4-liter V6 is much more linear compared to what we found in the current Tacoma platform, with the 6-speed, the 3.5 liter, is it 3.5? Yeah, 3.5 liter V6 with the 6-speed automatic transmission. That felt a little more gear hunty-ish, whereas the power delivery is a lot more linear, and I think a lot of people actually prefer it. Not to mention, the 4Runner is made in Japan still, so that has always been a kind of a pro over the Tacoma, in my personal opinion. I think in the opinions of a lot of people. So similar to what we found with let me walk out here, with the Tundra and the FJ Cruiser. When we did away with it, people wanted it. People really wanted to get back to the old simplistic power plant, in and out interior. Just the simplicity and reliability is what people long for. The final point I think I'll make is, sorry, it's a little windy, guys. The final point I'll make here is the price points, right? So the price of the 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro back in 2021 was about $54,000. When they introduced the new 2022 Tundra TRD Pro, what was the price point? It was starting at $68,000. Not to mention you had a fat markup on it at nearly every dealership. So, and once you spec it out with delivery and processing, it was probably around $71,000 on the low end of your new 2022 Tundra TRD Pro. So that was a huge gap. What is that? $17,000 gap between the 2021, the previous generation, and that new generation? That's a huge gap. And I think if we do see a 6th generation 4Runner, we'll likely see a very similar price hike. Now, maybe not that much, but I do think if we do see a new 6th generation 4Runner TRD Pro sporting the iForce Max, which we'd expect, the 4-cylinder, I think we could at least see a 10 grand price hike between the TRD Pros. So my TRD Pro right there, 56,000 and some change, just under 57, I think. I think we're going to see it at 67, 65,000, between that range on the new 6th generation 4Runner TRD Pro. That is assuming they keep it with the same caliber of this. I think there's a lot of speculation right now saying that the new 4Runner will be a very like a dulled down version of what it is now, kind of like bringing it back to its roots. And I think this would be kind of cool, but I don't know. I think the best way to describe it is kind of like what it was originally, having removable tops and trying to bring that price point down. And if they do bring that price point down, we're going to get a very, very different 4Runner. A very different 4Runner, right? A very small, tiny version of it. There's a leaked image of what we think could be the next 4Runner or the next FJ Cruiser, EV FJ Cruiser. We don't know for sure. But if it is the 4Runner replacement, regardless, it is going to be a much, much smaller and a much different version of what the 4Runner is. And it's not really totally comparable. And especially when it comes to price point, right? The Land Cruiser, if it is the quote-unquote 4Runner replacement, which a lot of us think it might be, the price point is already hiked higher than what we're thinking right now, right? The starting price of the new Land Cruiser, the 1958 version of it, the dulled down version of it, is in the mid-50s, is what they're saying. So the starting point of the base model Land Cruiser is already the highest point of the highest trim 4Runner, if that makes sense. Right, so we're at 56,000 some change on the TRD Pro back here, the 2023 4Runner TRD Pro. That new Land Cruiser, the base model, is the same price. So that kind of tells you what the mid-tier model and the first edition Land Cruiser are going to be. They're probably going to be in that high 60s for the first edition there. So the value hike of getting the same vehicle, if they're making the Land Cruiser the same or the replacement, is already 10 grand higher, is what I'm getting at. So because of that, the residual value on the 5th generation 4Runner will remain extremely high. Mark my words on that. If that is the case, it will for sure remain very high. So if you do have an opportunity to buy a 5th generation 4Runner, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it as a safe purchase, especially if you can get a TRD Pro. If you can get a TRD Pro in the, again, I have a bias, in the exclusive color, TRD Pro exclusive color, definitely do it. because I think here in the next year or so, you're going to start seeing used TRD Pros, for mid 60s, and people wanting them and trying to snatch them up even at that price, the TRD Pros. And if you can get a 40th anniversary edition, I think that is a better longer term investment. And I say investment loosely. You don't buy vehicles for investment's sake, but a very sound purchase, right? If you get a 40th anniversary and you held on to it for a few years, you got to 2028 or something, and you still had a low mileage 40th anniversary, a numbered vehicle, I guarantee you that that's going to hold value extremely well, just as we saw with the numbered vehicles or FJ Cruisers like the Trail Tames and Ultimate Edition. So I think I've geeked out plenty in this video, and forgive me, I just kind of babbled, blabbed the entire time, kind of giving you guys my thoughts on it. I'm super interested in this kind of stuff, and I always have been. If you've been following my channel, I am always interested in seeing the values, and really I think the underlying thing of it all is the psychology behind it. A lot of you guys know I have a psychology-based PhD, so I love following. I don't say that as a weird flex. I say that as proof of my fascination of human behavior and how we think. And once we take away stuff like this, it's funny how we all clamor for it, right? And the values go up. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you're planning to get a 5th generation 4Runner before they go away. Appreciate you watching as always. Till next time.